I say, fair enough, I agree. I think that we've seen Soniqs definitely have a return to form. First ban, first removal, look.
It is one of the more balanced social votes that we did see. As we continue down the banning list, it's going to be the Ying to be removed by Soniqs. So Heartbreachers will stay up. It is going to be the Hibana that can see play. It is one of the operators we have seen banned quite a lot, of course, mostly on Clubhouse, where hatches often play an important role as well. But it kind of can fill that same void inside of Oregon. There's a lot of hatches, especially for that basement take. This mirror gets removed is also not an odd one to see. For a full year almost, we had a lot of mirror bans to come through. And Azami, the last one to be taken out. Of course, the ability to, well, redesign any site is not something many teams like to play against.
Yeah, I mean, Azami's been used very, very well, I think, by NA teams. I've seen some very creative usage and deployment. I've really enjoyed how they sort of put us to the press. The same with Latin America teams here. We do get some Azami across EU. We do get some play, but it's not the most sort of common. We do have, from MNM, common Ying play. They do try and drive themselves on some of the takes and pushes with Candelas. This is all, I think, second-day bans where you start to warm up to ideas. These teams obviously have already played each other once. They have that sort of hot prep to go on. And that's that growth. That's why in the showdown you look towards the team that lost more than the team that won to sort of see, okay, what do they learn?
Yeah, what have they learned from the previous engagement and see if they can actually put in an active betterment of their performance. But at the same time, MNM was not flawless at all, you know. There was definitely some mistakes being made. Soniqs just weren't able to completely punish them on the back of those. So MNM's definitely had the opportunity to learn from the previous game as well and have the opportunity now to show their improvement. Soniqs starting off on that attack quickly, headed towards the barrel, seeing if they can put up some early pressure towards blue, maybe even the elbow. It's often a position that is highly contested by a smoke. Now, drone just went in from Kansan, and they did not see a shield out there, so they think it might be relatively safe. But as he opens up the barricade, a shield magically appears out of the hands of Solotov, so that information is going to be outdated. I wonder if they heard it.
Now, Soniqs. Are you going to look for the loose MNM players and see if you can get the strike? The start is over the top of the tower. Towards T3, and, well, there's not the individual as of this moment. You're just getting the clarity here so you can try and formulate your take down onto the back end of Pillar. The prep and the steady clarity. It's something they're doing with the full strength of the roster. Instead of going for a bit of width and maybe sending some over to the small tower on the opposite end, they're seeing if they can try and quickly get a bit of a lockdown and build their back end here on the back of the side itself. All 5 players, minus kind of a loose Grixer who's flourishing his way down towards the bottom of blue. They're just going to push entirely from the same side and see what they can remove.
Getting rid of the K-Claw on those hatches is going to be quite difficult, I think. And to rely on the Flores to get a RC Retiro quite close underneath, or maybe even a grenade to bounce the right way from either barrels or possibly even from the main stairs. It's just that if you do so, you are putting yourself at quite a bit of risk. Neo, Tyrant, both playing closely around that pillar, have a good opportunity of removing that. Either way, drones coming through. Sonic still checking out to see if there is any roamers on the board for MNM, because they haven't completely checked out every single nook and cranny on that map. There might still be someone on that top floor. Of course, we know that's not the case, but Sonics, they need that security before they start actually pushing towards the site.
Neo holding off and waiting for the pressure onto Pillar. There's a minute left, and from some people's books, Sonics haven't cleared a huge amount, but now they're starting to go a bit wide. That grenade rolled down perfectly on the back of the flash. Neo's able to find some safety. He does lose the ADS. That was a second, now a third grenade, I think. No, that was just a late explosion of the first. It wasn't cooked, so both utilized. There is a stretch over to Freezer, and that's where the first fight happens. Kansan takes care of one. Gunner with the push onto Laundry as well. Suddenly, Sonics strike on the back end, put the pressure down onto that, and MNM finds themselves all focused onto a back line, and then falling off the back. Tyrant caught out by Geo. The double down and the swing round, they do get him dropped, but it's suddenly just Solotov left. Sonics, out of nowhere, swung and slapped the back end of the site out. They're trying to find a fight, gets one, gets flashed, gets pressured. They know where he is. There's the next. Soniqs take the first round.
Very clean round from Soniqs there, and even though they didn't really have any utility to get through those hatches, it meant that they needed to go for a bit more of a direct take, descend down the staircases, take control of Laundry and Freezer, whilst at the same time pushing down the back staircase towards the pillar. Every single gunfight went their way, basically, which did allow them to win that round, but that's quite weird to see on the MNM side. Usually, you're going to be able to at least win out some of those gunfights, but not really the case here. It's just a little bit sharper this early on in that game. MNM not able to match that pace as soon as the execute did come through. Because again, no utility really had been destroyed. Everything but the ADS seemingly was still in place. It's just that MNM, they went aggressive, they tried to bring it back, but they're getting punished for it bit by bit.
It was good. It was a very well-played, well-timed execute there from the side of Soniqs. As I said, they dedicated a lot to getting control of tower. Then they spread themselves over to the other side at about the minute 30 mark. They moved as a unit and then took the fight. It was almost sort of Riot Police-like. They sort of took a bit of territory, had the shields up, bolstered their way across the floor of the site itself, and then just broke down Kettle to defense. And yeah, well, it's a little bit trickier to do at the top. There does have to be a little bit of earlier width if you want to go for a bit of control over Attic. Tyrant's going to see if he can at least try and slow down this approach. A bit of a false start here for MNM.
It's not the best of starts. We'll take some early damage as well. Not quite sure what that was from. That might have been just a straight shot going through the window. As long as they can control of the small tower quickly. We've seen this be very effective in some of the Oregon games every now and then. Solitov the first to fall. Looking to go aggressive towards that small tower, looking to keep control, but gets punished for it. That is not the start you want to see for MNM. That first round, that fell out quite quickly. Solitov dying now, that is also not a good sign.
This is a Soniqs team that's not taking the risk. They're making sure that everything is metered, everything is monitored. They're giving no freedom. It is almost ritualistic how clear and how step-by-step their take on parts of this map are. Not specifically the players. It's more, we're going to take this, then we're going to move on to this and this. And with how much control they're sort of generating on the boots inside the building, anyone that's caught out of it is going to be out of step because they're dictating this rhythm with a pretty solid pace. Talking of, Gunner, he's ready to go for something pacey here, can see the pings on the inside, doesn't want to entirely risk it. The man has the kit. It can't entirely go on the back of it. They can make some noise and throw some distress, but I think they need a little bit more intel before Gunner's ready to hop his way in.
Not just that, they need a bit of a distraction, and that's exactly what Kansan is going to be offering. Heading up towards the white stairs soon, we'll be providing a cross angle and maybe some fire to come down as well, together with a potential E1D that Geo still has in pocket ready to activate. Once all of that comes together, that's when Gunner is going to be using the Gara hook to fly right into that building. Because if he's doing that solo, he will be punished for it. There comes the E1D. Surely Gunner's going to be following up. Yeah, right through the window he goes. Finds the kill as well. Somehow instantly for the plant, hoping to put 45 on the board.
The C4 over the top doesn't quite get the catch. They're looking for the fight anywhere. But look at the Soniqs isn't handing them anything. They're keeping themselves tucked. Does get the kid in the middle of the site by a bit of a swan dive through it. Finds a second. Cannot find the third. Kansan on the top of white gets it. And suddenly it's just Tyrant left. Not for very long. Soniqs, once again, step by step, the energy is there, and so is the team play.
I mean, we mentioned it before when we had Clubhouse, right? Like, Clubhouse, a very methodical map. It is going to be well, not exactly the same for Oregon, but it's still a step-by-step process. And Soniqs have been following it quite well. They've been taking control, they've gotten that entry, they've cleared out parts of the map, and after that, they just go for that 3-2-1 execute clearly, beautifully, and take down MNM as a result. And that puts them up 2-0 in the lead right now. MNM going for that tech timeout. They need to have that chat because something is not going well. We can all see it.
It's an early change of pace. It's an early response of, uh-oh, we've got to try and slow this down. Because they've got a great rhythm. They've got a great momentum here, Soniqs. Both those two rounds, their pace has been close to perfect, if not perfect. They are so adamant on what they want to do, and there's very little resistance to them having it happen.
The thing is, look at the first round. Hatches were closed. Didn't even want to open up the hatches. They just had to go down staircases, and they won the gunfights. You're supposed to be in a bit of a disadvantage if you're pushing down those staircases. Yet it worked out for them. They were able to win those gunfights, and that just shows that first of all they're on point, but second of all, because of everything being so synchronized, it works out well for them. That's why they're currently up on 2-0. Now MNM, they're deciding to go back towards the basement, and they have made a small change. There's no Cade on the board. The hatches, they will be openable this time for Soniqs. They only put the effort into it, of course, by using those Excaros that Geo will be bringing. As we see MNM set up, there's going to be some extra delay methods to be brought out in terms of the Goyo, Vulcan, and, of course, the Banshees, hoping to slow them down just enough to make sure they have a fighting chance and you know, to take them down as they push down the staircases.
Reset, boys. That's what that timeout was. MNM, they're going for a hard sort of reset on this whole game. From this point onwards, they've just got to play what's in front of them outside of maybe Soniqs calling a timeout, but for that, I think you've got to have a lot more success written down.
They know exactly where Neo is. They know exactly he's going to go a bit aggressive. He's putting just that Banshee down for now. Neo has no clue. Now he knows that he wants it. It's going to be 30 seconds of information. Hatches will be opened up in the meantime already, and now it's going to be uncontested.
You can see now they're going for the opposite ends of a take. Instead of taking tower first, it's going to be classroom. It's going to be the lessons taught above with a single Luciana on the back end. There is some attention paid, a big stretch, and that's forcing this play. Look at how MNM is reshaped. There is the player that was a little bit up freezer stairs that's now pulled back, that's forced some of this attention. There's a player around tower stairs, around T2. There they are. But they're still just waiting and ready. They're wasting time. There's one caught in the middle. Rexon, does he know? Ooh, surely he does now. It's a close fight and a ping that really should have been a Neo take there. Used and Tyrant wanted to chase for a second. The calls came out and the hot Twitch drone just let in for that. Well,
that could have worked if Neo was a bit more passive there. If he just waited out a little bit longer, not giving away his position. It's a beautiful shot from Nello, though. Gunner removed with just a single pump from that round. He's not going to have any further impact now. Logic bombs have been used, and nothing that we can do now except for checking the cameras and hope for the best. I don't think he actually had the opportunity to hack Neo, so that one ability is not going to be used either.
Yeah, that was a bit of a lockdown, a statement piece from Nello there, sort of saying no way through. I think he popped the C4 around the hatch, hoping somebody would have tried to get the pickup in the second moment. It was a clever ploy, and it's a risk, but didn't quite pay off this time. A minute on the clock. This was around the time that Sonic started to put pressure onto the site, and we can see the fire pop over from the bottom of blue and freezer itself. They have the hatches open. They're trying to angle themselves up for some control. You're just trying to see them do this game again. Piece together where MNM are. Don't entirely go for the pings. Try and run the intel and see if you can work on it about 15 seconds later. A bit more of a breach, a bit more of a stretch. And this, the fight around the tower stairs, so they know that the Goyo's moved up. No,
they do not. Tyrant will find that kill. He was spotted just a second earlier, of course, in the actual pillar side of things. Solotov will find Kansan, and this looks like MNM actually have a good fighting opportunity here. 25 seconds left on the clock. They need to just push on Soniqs if they want to have an opportunity to go for it. That's exactly what Geo does. Doesn't actually land the first shots onto Tyrant, doesn't hit the pre-fire rider, and it's going to be used to lock it off for MNM. They will find their first round here on the defense. They will need a couple more to find themselves comfortable into the attack, but it's a start, and that is going to be something.
I think with the energy MNM needed now, they want to get 4-2 on this half. They want to make sure that they're in a much stronger position because they know Soniqs can play good defenses. They had a back and forth with Soniqs defenses. If it's an even half, you maybe expect OT, or they maybe do as well. But they also have to break up the momentum Soniqs had, and it was very well put together. It seems like they're going for a similar setup. There's no Lion currently on the left-hand side of the screen, but we do have the quick zip, not with the kit this time.
No, but it might still swap that one around if they actually spawn in at that point. No, quick zip coming through. It's a Thatcher and a Thermite. It is going to be
El Clasico.
El Clasico. With Sledge, IQ, the only operator, of course, that have been released later. That is not going to be Vanilla, it's going to be Yana.
10 seconds left.
With the clones, given a good pace, a good amount of information to come through.
5 seconds to insertion.
Last second change towards Sophie as well, just for a bit of extra explosives. You can use a bot fire shields or any other piece of utility. The concussions as well, easily used to, for example, take out a player that is playing in T3. That might become a bit of an issue if Tyrant is out here. Is he using the P10 Brony or is he using the DMR though? Will tell a lot about his plans here, whether he's going to go for some early peaks. Now it's the P10 Roni, so he's looking to challenge, he's looking to skirmish in that tower, hoping to add some buddies to his tally.
All right, pressure starts to crack its way over. Once again, the opposite side. Soniqs keep sort of just changing up the side and the angle and flip it round and reverse it, in the words of Missy Elliott, of just where they want to put the pressure onto this time. Armory is the top, but look at the player all the way on the top of T3. We've seen people suffer here. Tyrant, he wants to draw attention, but he can also strike his way down onto Armory stairs. If they're going for an Armory take, it makes this corridor a little bit more dangerous than it otherwise needs to be, without having to deal with the player. The window's open. Kansan has the awareness of it, but that's why he's playing this a bit cautiously. There's the worry of a swing, but there's also more importantly the worry of that slightly further drive. The close play there. Are they going to catch anything with that?
All 3 ADSs used, and none of them have been tossed through the actual Surya laser gates. That means that in about 5 seconds or 10 seconds, it will reactivate again without anybody having to shoot it. So they need to be very quick if they want to make something happen with it. Neo, with a small amount of damage done towards Kansan, sticks right behind his shield again as now the gates reactivate. The flashbang needs to get rid of the first, but Nello playing close onto the walk-in closet with that shotgun is going to be punishing anybody who thinks about going aggressive here. That could be a pickup. Solotov was really close to being picked up through the window here.
Well, he gets Rex in and gets caught out by Gunnar immediately after on the window. If anything, I thought the close play there of that EMP was to stop any of the ADSs catching anything to destroy these shields on the back end, but none of the grenades came behind it, and now they've lost 2. Neo, he's doing everything he can to try and play his life here in this situation. There's still pings on players as long as he can sort of sit here and cause problems. One's rotated around in the corner. Kansan is pushed back. There's Tyrant up in the top window, but it's Grixer that finally wins out the fight inside Trophy itself. Kansan's taken a huge amount of damage. They've got to rotate out and find a potential possible route through, and there's the down from users through the 2 softs. They probably won't be able to get the collection onto that. They're just going to spray and hope they get a connection, but no, it was a little bit too out of stretch. 40 seconds though, and this is where the danger moment starts to come.
Again, the majority of the Soniqs team is coming from that bedroom side of things. That C4 got sniped out. It is going to be Gio that just enters the building, takes down Nello though. Now he's going for that plant. He just opened it up all for himself. It's only up to Tyrant. He was in that big tower before. He's now in a 1v2 clutch with that diffuser down on the ground. Finds the first. Now he needs to find that player onto the actual double window. Has an opportunity to go for the defuse here. Gunnar is not close enough. He just spots him out. Is he going to go for it? Is he going to stick it? Yes, he is for now. But will he have time?
Oh, he's in. He's rotated his way around to the top. Do we know? It seems like he's got some awareness. They're on the hunt. They're on the rotate. There's the pre-fire from Gunnar. He had the awareness too. And that is around there from Soniqs. Well played back and forth, 3-1.
As soon as Gunnar was spotted out in that double window, he had to push in. He cannot stay out there. A defuse would have surely have gone down. So he made the right call there by digging himself in deeper onto the actual site, whilst also playing a bit passive. He doesn't want to take that gunfight. As long as there's no active counter defuse going on, he doesn't need to go for a swing. So he played that perfectly there. Soniqs able to just muscle themselves through the site. I was going to say they're in a good position for MNM, because Nello, he was playing close in that breach with a shotgun. You would have expected him to pick up the kill, but Gio just quicker on that trigger. The 5.56 on that thermite. And now 3-1 here for Soniqs, leading against MNM. Looking to extend, looking to give MNM a taste of their own medicine, because remember, you said it last time, MNM led in onto their defense on Chalet, leading by 5 rounds to 1 over Soniqs. Now Soniqs is looking to reverse that, because they want to be the team that confirms themselves first in the group. Now that doesn't happen today. They are going to be able to get very close.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it. Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
All right, MNM, we said that you probably didn't want it to be even because of how the latter half of this game can go. You've already used your tac timeout. At this point, your best option is that it is even. You have a chance here on a site that we haven't seen yet. Instead of going back onto dorms, whilst you can't go back to laundry, which we'll probably see as the final swing, here we are instead.
You're going aggressive from the trophy up onto the balcony, hoping to catch off at least a utility or a player. Now the first drone falls. but that does mean they are aware of his position.
Attackers have located
Rexer
the
in the
bomb.
meantime is trying to look and go from behind. He is going to get his position given away by that Banshee, but he wants to support that top floor take. They want to take care of those players so they don't have to worry about them anymore. They're all collapsing around him as Solotov and Users both will be able to pick up a kill. It's falling apart for Soniqs.
I think Soniqs thought that there was maybe a little bit less up top than it turned out to be. The C4 was one well-played pop, but it sent Solotov with 2 hot drones going ahead. All the other players were just trying to lead in this frag fight against a single player. Now, they've lost those 2 bits of cover. They do pick one back, Rexen, able to find the side of Neo, who hasn't quite been able to connect with this game as of yet, but the kit cold at the top of the stairs. They've got to see if they can try and re-pick that up and re-dig their way across the board. Kansan, caught by a Capcan, dropped out. Again, the hot drone game has not quite come as fortuitous as it's been before. They were better when they sort of drone, got cold, and then pushed on. The pre-fire to the angle, Rexen is able to cement at least another. A player who was a little bit quiet in the previous showdown between these 2 teams has been pretty big and bold. This one, but can he try and help push alongside with Geo, the final 3 players?
I believe there's 2 players on the actual site here for MNM, so it is going to be a 2v2 shootout with one of the players of MNM being offside, having the opportunity to either go back upstairs and use some verticality here, but I believe it's Nello that is playing close with the shotgun onto the split right here that gets the first, takes down Rexen. Leaves it only up to Geo. He gets that spot, just needs to play patiently right now. That's a 1 pump to come through. And MNM, they will lock off another round here. As you said, it wasn't the side they went to before. It's a side we hadn't seen yet. But that victory is most important in the end.
Nello's very reliable with that shotgun. He knows how to use it. He knows the distance of it, and he's a well-trained hand with it. He'll generally find a kill per round there. And I think in that situation, with everything else going on, with how well it was put together on the top floor, the limitations and the trust behind the hot droning and the guns of Soniqs, it was a bit of a gambit. It went away from them. They thought that they had a little bit, I think, more wiggle room on the top floor than MNM let them have.
No, for sure. They knew of one player, right? A drone out trophy. So they're like, okay, so if I move up wide and you get up armory stairs and we have someone on the balcony, we can literally put a 3-prong attack onto that one player. And then you just lost 2 elements of the attack. And well, okay, that kind of did not work out as we planned. And we are now a massive body amount down, having to try and salvage that round. And MNM, they did not let that happen. Luckily for them, put them up into that 2nd round. You mentioned it before, though. MNM, they would have loved to have a 4-2 score. Otherwise, we might be eyeing up an overtime if this does go to a 3-3. Soniqs, they'll be more than happy already with the 3 rounds they have, but they want to make sure they get a 4th in their pockets right now.
All right, Soniqs, what's the take we're going to see this time? We've seen a couple of different ones. One was successful at the start, and that was the tower take. And this time, well, it seems like we're angling for something slightly different. Still with the calls, and now the Jackal for the control potential of those loose players. We talked about that was the change from the side of MNM. They stretched themselves a bit further across the board. They made things a little bit more problematic in terms of getting the clear on the rest of the map itself. And the Jackal just means that Soniqs can go back to that long arm game that they like to play, where they sort of drone some intel, push it across then, and try and get the execute on the players, and then drone again.
Now, the top floor is relatively uncontested here for Soniqs. I believe that they've basically been given it for free because the majority of MNM has started to fall back, not wanting to stick around. Now, as soon as Rexen comes in, of course, he is going to be able to get those footsteps out. As in the meantime, you did see Grixer take out 2 of the Vulcan canisters there with that Twitch drone. Those are going to be 2 sets of fire. They do not need to worry about anymore if an execute does come through, which basically leaves it to, well, the 3 smoke canisters and Solotov, and also the 2 Vulcan canisters still pre-placed, but which they can isolate a bit easier now.
Trying to find the angle on the top of the stairs. They know they suffered on the route through. There was obviously a trade of bodies both times this time last time. One from one team, one from the other, but this time nobody has found the engagement on the middle floor. Instead, MNM have pitter-pattered their way back down towards the site itself. There's bits of utility to otherwise pop and take out on the route through, but Soniqs have got a bloodless clear of most of the map itself. Now it's just the focus onto the pillar player, the one that was able to swing out. I think they might have shot both X-Kairos, which means that angle will stay locked for now.
Means there's going to be a player active around the pillar or in elbow. Now, we know it's going to be both, but that is what it tells them. All right, so they have an angle to shoot these out. They're actively contesting it. We need to find a way around it. Again, shot out right there, just instantly, within a second of them being placed. So they're not really having the opportunity to open them up like they wanted to. Again, it's a third set they're trying to use. It's just not working out right now, Soniqs. You need to do something else.
Yeah, you got to go with a plan B here, Soniqs, and it seems like that's going to come. Gio's going to drone his way down for Gunnar on the back end of it. They're going to see if they can try and pinch onto Neo. They're concerned about the drop on the door. If somebody can shoot those, well, somebody can shoot us. That's the attempt on the smoke, covering it. Look at the pressure onto Blue. There is a Goyo on the door of Blue, so that's going to buy them at least 15 seconds. The drop comes, the drop gets done. Solotov uses, and Neo will find one apiece with Rexon, at least getting one for their own cans, and he's got the kit back waiting for the swing, but it comes against them. MNM. They find their even half. They get 2 just on the tail end. Now they got to see if they can try and do the business on attack.
Very clean last round there we saw from MNM. They were able to, well, first of all, they played up on the top floor, but they fell back as they had to, basically only leaving a minute 20 left for Soniqs to basically prepare their entire attack. And they just kept throwing Excaliburs at a wall that refused to open up, which just, like, it wastes so much time with just an MNM player shooting that open. And you're thinking, okay, how does that happen? Well, it was going to be the smoke player that was sitting inside of elbow, but was uncontested due to the fact that the barrel's door had not been opened by an attacker at the start of a round. He is not pressured. He could just open up or destroy those Excaliburs without being punished for it. And that just wastes so much time. It shows the importance of having to open up windows or doors adjacent to the site, even if you're not going to be using them, because it puts some pressure down onto a player out there, because they do not have to go through a barricade first. They can instantly fire at you if they suddenly appear from that position. So MNM, 3-3 equal score. But now they're going over to the attack. This is why they need to make a difference if they want to take another victory.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Soniqs, I've sort of said that you had a good game on your defense against MNM. It was just the first half that sort of belied you. Time to, I guess, either prove me right or prove MNM wrong at this moment in time. See if they can otherwise step themselves in and try and do a bit of damage. We talked about how MNM needed 5 points from the start of the day to be able to cement themselves at SI. Not out of the groups, but they could have cemented themselves at SI. 3 here will definitely still go a long way. OT is something they definitely want to avoid right now. Soniqs, they're sitting top of the group. If they can get a full 3 points from this, they look closer and closer to being one of the teams confirmed in a very messy group.
Yeah, that's it. Whoever picks up 3 points here is going to be returning to the favorites of making it out of the group. So a lot of these teams are willing to fight for everything they have. And mind you, some of the technical timeouts have already been used. So there is going to be a team, MNM, without it, so they need to make sure that everything sticks from now. They need to make sure they get in that rhythm and do not allow Soniqs to kick them out of it. Because those last 2 rounds, they were good examples. As Gunnar is about to be receiving a bit of pressure right here. Is he going to be winning this first initial gunfight, or is he going to fall back? He heard that drone coming, takes it out, instantly drops back, does not want to stick around to find out. Instantly gets behind that pillar. Let them use utility to clear rinky things.
Solotov just going to get the stretch and the control over the chancellor rotation around the top. They're getting the clear done around the same sort of pace that we saw from Soniqs. They still lose plenty of time to go for the break and the push down underneath. The hatches being popped open as well. The thing and the difference here is that generally all of the utility in the pockets of Soniqs seems to be down on the site itself. You've still got a lot left to break through regardless of the stretch that was otherwise put against them. There's the angle being opened. Is Gio going to see if he can shoot it out? They're missing. The second impact does get it rather than go for the swing. So,
I mean, it's understandable because look at the difference, right? There is going to be a player actually near the barrels right now. They cannot afford to go for the swing from elbow because Solotov can literally just peek you as they do, which means they needed to use different pieces of utility to get rid of those Excaliburs.
Solotov wants to fight. He's hoping somebody is going to try and face check him in 40 seconds. He's going to find that time is going to be something that has to work in his favor. Smoke canister stopping the swing of Tyrant on the back end and the play of those grenades, more importantly. They've still got control of Shaiko. Sort of misses the player that slips by onto Pillar. The one that's tucked on the right and the left means he does not have a clean entrance. There's Gio popping one more smoke. Grix is watching to make sure nobody swings behind it, hoping that if they go for a gambit, it's not going to work. 20 seconds. They're above the hatch. They're inside the hatch. They got to take the drop in the fight. They lose out. Gunner and Solotov one apiece. The drop all the way into the site itself. Tyrant gets one. Gunner tucked close on the swing. Uses inside the site on the back end. Gets the take on the back end. Gets two. Nello's going to see if he can stick the plant. They have the cover on the rotation, a pocket full of seconds. Do they know where the player is? They've got ones watching either side. It is an MNM round.
Let's go.
Well done by MNM there. They were able to also go for that 3-2-1 execute style there. They needed to go for it. The time was ticking down. And then we had some amazing kills coming through, some sharp fire, something that was lacking from MNM in those first couple of rounds, which allowed Soniqs to take the early lead. Also, if we speak tactically or strategically, they had the early opening onto barrels, Emmy. They open up that door, which means there is pressure. That forces the player that was playing into elbow before to go into the Shinko spot, which basically puts you, well, in a stuck position, right? Because as soon as they drop that hatch, that's the first corner that will be swung. The same goes for elbow. He will be watching that, or for barrels, I have to say. And I'm not saying that one on the round because that was definitely not the case. It was going to be that incredible synchronization from MNM, just finding those players, localizing them, isolating them, and taking them down. But it's just that, you know, that little bit of extra that they had right there, which allowed them to set up just a little bit easier.
MNM, for the first time this game, pull into the lead on their first attack. They're able to do a little bit of a difference, but, I mean, Soniqs took the first two, and then a timeout was called, and then it ended up as an even half. So there's still a lot left to play here. Soniqs, what's the change-up? You sort of did what MNM did, their first defense down there. Gave a lot of territory up, and you're sort of doing what they did on their second, stretching it a little bit further. Gunner, all the way on the far end of Small Tower. Rexon, he's dancing around dorms, and I think you have Grixer towards Classroom as well. They've decided to do exactly the same thing. Push themselves further and further out. There's the reveal. They want to see if a fight is about to happen. They have the Lion, they have the Jackal, they have everything to track. A man that might be able to Ramadash himself a little bit further. He's checked. Will he be pre-fired through the soft? He doesn't want to go on the other side of it. He's instead going to see if he can stick around. He knows if he runs, he's going to get caught out. They push themselves down to Shower Corridor. He ducks and tucks and finds some safety up, which is probably not going to be the most expected thing. The Jackal could get a track in if they get the read, and the player will be pushed all the way to the top. But look at this. Solotov, he's got himself in there, sees the Prisma deployed, knows that there's a fight just around the corner. The ping's there on the player. There's a rotate that's going to come through. The pre-fire happens, doesn't quite connect. There's a lot of pressure here on the top floor. Solotov is watching, monitoring it. The pressure's now coming on the back end as well, and Rexon wins a massively important fight there on the way out the door. Tyrant's going to see if he can at least catch that loose player. Look at users underneath the hatch as well. They know that they cannot drop that way, so they rotate onto Attic. Gio is with a shotgun, locked and ready to pop if they root themselves over. But Soniqs, they're not messing around. Got the kill, back to the site, escaped with their lives, and a lot of utility used.
Definitely being shepherded, though, by the side of MNM. Every single other exit was being locked off, but the actual big tower. Grixer, he's sticking around, though. He's around that meeting site, wants to throw a spanner in the works, and he's about to do so as well. He's staying hidden. Knows there's going to be someone in meeting. Takes down users. Tyrant has gone down as well. I believe that is going to be a second Capcan trap he actually managed to step into. Needs to be recovered now. Flashbangs are being tossed out to at least secure that. Make sure no one is coming for the chase. Grixer is being called right now. He will be hunted. Is he going to stay alive? That's a big question.
I mean, that's it. They've already dedicated so much, but look at the timer ticking away. He's stuck on a corner. If he moves, he'll be dropped. The flash comes through. He slips his way past and tries to pre-fire the angle. Neo does find his head, but still, 45 seconds. They've lost their Buck. They've lost their Lion. They've lost their two big gunners as well. It's now down to the three remaining players, one of them pretty mortally injured, to see if they can try and put the pressure onto the site.
There's about a 45-second difference now between MNM opening up the hatch onto the E-box compared to when they did it in that previous round. So a lot of time has been wasted. Also, 2 of those kills coming through. That is going to be a big difference maker. Smoke canisters are now being deployed. The last one just tossed in, but that's going to be enough to stop any drop from the E-box, meaning they only really will have to worry about Laundry. And of course, the freezer drop that's coming through. Gunner will shut down the first. 7 seconds left on the clock. Neo needs to make a miracle happen right here, but it gets shut down right afterwards. Nello doesn't stand a chance either. Gunner makes sure he takes both down. And Soniqs, they equalize the score again.
I mean, Gunnar, from the first point of contact at the very start of that round, slipping his way via an escape route that covered most of it to getting a cheeky little triple kill at the end. It sort of shows that the whole round that time, yeah, sure, there was MNM presence and pressure, but without that pinch on those loose players, it's just time wasted. It just plays into Soniqs' game there. Soniqs even being able to find a kill on the way out the door, I mean, it puts a little bit more pressure. We're back in, we're balanced. It's what I sort of said might happen is this back and forth they had last time. It was this setup between the two teams. Seems perpetually in motion.
There was an opportunity for greatness there on MNM, right? Because they realized what was going on. They forced the players back. At some point, 3 players were literally in the same room, and they covered off every single other entrance but the one they took, which was, of course, going to be that big tower staircase. It is the most difficult to take control of, especially when the take MNM went for. But if Solotovs was able to hit those first couple of shots, that would have been a completely different round.
5 seconds to go.
Either way, they will have to continue on. As it is 4-4, we're up on that top floor now, a completely different site. Requires a completely different take. Snello is bringing out the Osso. The talent shields make an appearance. Just trying to find out how they want to use it. Is this going to be into the games? Or is the talent shield going to be used around that big window to provide a bit of extra security on, you know, the Overwatch role that might be filled?
Okay, MNM. Who can you get on the hunt this time, if anybody? A bit of a change of the setup. Obviously, the Ossa has the chance of putting some of that set-down pressure on. Rexon's giving himself a bit of width and a bit of attention more than anything. He's trying to slow MNM on this approach that I said they worked very well last time round. Soniqs, in terms of the gun game, has definitely stepped up massively compared to the last showing between these two teams. Solotov's got himself a little bit of sense of safety, but there's always a concern of a Soniqs player tucked around into an uncomfortable corner.
Player above him in the attic might have just given out that call like, hey, I think I heard someone in meeting. I want to be careful if you're playing around the kitchen, and that's exactly why Rexon is rotating back up from that white stairs, doesn't want to stick around because he's figuring out that they are coming out about him. They're trying to box him in. Solotov opens up with the skeleton key. He's unable to actually hit those shots to Grixer. A little bit of damage done, but not enough to take him out of the equation early on. But that is going to be someone that has dropped down towards that basement. That is going to be someone they can try and wait for, catch him if he tries to rotate back up.
Yeah, they're still checking everything and wanting to be a little bit safe. And Soniqs, once again, they've sort of pulled themselves back in. There's not been a blood cost paid by MNM as of yet. They're still going for the shepherding game and just limiting some of the routes and rotations across the board, buying themselves just some safety here, and now they'll go pick themselves up and maybe start setting up for the double window take. You can see the Sledge getting themselves the angle. They have Nello obviously still with the Oster shield, still with the pressure they can put down in terms of the structure of the site. Nothing too major has been removed. The play of the grenades underneath seemed like it was going to be a swing for a second. Now it is once again with Solotov as the buck causing potential problems.
Trying to take a small amount of damage as well. There is someone close on the bring back. Rexon wins out on that gunfight, brings it to a 5v4. Grenades have not found anybody as of yet as well. Neo about to toss in his second, also without any joy. Soniqs are coming back towards the side. They know they need to turtle in right now. Rexon drops, and that means there is going to be an opening for MNM.
Neo got a kill from underneath the dorms there, but with 25 seconds, they've got to start trying to put the pressure directly onto the site itself. They've got the man out from the back end. Nello, he's got one set up. He's going to see if he can just drone out that corner. They might be able to tuck themselves in, but with the position inside dorms, it's this window fight that's going to be important. 10 seconds. And they've entirely thrown everything down towards tucking behind the dorms end without all the rest of the work. Nello finds Gunnar on the swing, but it's still that big crux position. Where do you get in and plant? What do you cover? There's the swing, there's the aggression, there's Kansan and Grixer. And MNM just ran out of time, caught in a frost mat on the attempt to plant.
I was going to say that's probably why we saw the kid's bedroom player turn around, focus on the actual window, because he realized there is going to be a frost mat. They cannot just go for the jump in. We need to make sure that we do not lose control as we speak. The Soniqs, they regain control of that game after that defensive half. Again, rotating at the exact right moment, making sure they're not giving away any free kills towards MNM, whilst putting back on the fight on that big window, which was going to be the crucial point of ingress for MNM. That's where the diffuser was. It's not ideal if you need to be jumping in a big window that has long cross angles, watched for it, and also frost mats underneath. It is almost going to be a mission impossible to win that one out. Soniqs, as they lead 5-4, are just a single round away from making it to a point against MNM. And with that, they will basically guarantee themselves to stay on top of the table at the end of the day. But as they push through, it's going to be a bit of an extension towards the shower. We have seen this a lot back when Oregon just re-entered the competitive map pool. We saw players play around the showers next to the lockers, of course, with a shield right behind it to challenge anybody coming in from the small tower. Now Rexon playing close around the window, hoping to catch someone off guard, hoping to find someone who's not droning out properly enough, but he's fallen back. He knows it's maybe a bit of a Hail Mary, doesn't want to be risking his life too much out there. But as I said, he heads right back up, gets on top of the small tower stairs. Now a drone is coming out from Tyrant. Is he going to find him? He's moving out a lot. That is definitely going to be a spot now. Now he's going to be stuck. There's no way out. Unless there is.
Okay, MNM. Once again on the back foot. Once again, around down. In a bit of trouble. You see Soniqs, they've been able to pull themselves back into a bit of control of the momentum here. There was 3 rounds tied in a row by MNM to pull themselves back into the lead, or into the lead even. And Soniqs have to see if they can try and, I guess, get a little bit more of that energy. Neo is now the one. He's playing the role of the Oster, the Talon Shields. They're going for the back line. What seems like it'll probably be a default approach. Get one eyed up. There's anything but Tyrant. Gone off the board from a wide swing from Rexon. Users at least gets Geo back.
Rexon has literally been around that small tower the entire time, and at some point they just abandoned him on MNM's side, and he decided, you know what? Time to go aggressive, see what I can do. Openings are being made onto the stage now. I believe they want to be opening up the hatch as well as Nello's placing the exothermic just to provide an extra bit of depth for Solotov, who's here on top to provide that cover, to cover up the rotations back in, to make sure that the A side is exactly going to be cleared out, just like those on my discs, allowing utility to fly deep and through again to block off lines of sight they could use to stop this plant from happening. But the Osta still on the board from Neo is going to be that crucial factor. They're going to be placing that on the stage, plant right behind it. It's going to be very difficult with just a single impact left on Gunner to really deal with that situation.
That's it. Neo has the moment now. If he can try and get himself set up, they're going to push the flashbangs, the pressure on the back end. In fact, they're just going to see if they can stick the plant, maybe bait some of the attention. It's Users that gets Gunner. Kansan's underneath. C4 fishes out Nello and gets the kill. There's Users trying to get the lockdown, but Kansan wins out one more. Solotov sat watching a hatch. They're going to see if they can get the plant down now instead, pre-firing the angle with the hope of catching the loose player. They just throw themselves up. Neo gets the drop down, gets dropped down. The last player, Solotov, he was the man of the moment in the previous showdown. They're looping their way up, pre-fires the fight there. They just need to keep him at an angle. The second is looking for it from range. Does he have the watch? Does he have anything? Giving him intel on either of them. There's a very scrappy fight. He's expecting a pinch from the second at the same time. Drops one. One more player in 20 seconds. The swing comes through. It's Solotov.
That's why they needed that overwatch from above, Emmy. Yes, the C4 got through. That happens. They still managed to get that plan down, and Solotov had the verticality, had the angles go their way, and finds MNM their 5th round that they need as well. They want to pick up points from this game. They did not start off the day well at all. So they need to make sure they get back into it. And they need to find those 3 points themselves as well. We mentioned it before, for them it's going to be an SI qualification and also, of course, that fight for playoffs that they are currently playing for. Soniqs, they just want to extend their lead because they started off this game, the reset, with 1 point at least over everybody else. MNM on their attack, they hang on. Soniqs again, setting themselves up for that basement. Now, this has gone MNM's way once, and after that it went Soniqs. The big difference back then was, when it did go Soniqs' way, is because they had the heavy emphasis on the top floor. They wasted a lot of time, actually took out 2 bodies of MNM as well before they fell back towards the site, leaving MNM with about 40 seconds less of an execution time and 2 bodies less, able to be tossed onto the actual site to win, to get the advantage. So that's exactly what they're doing now. Kansan aggressive around that master bedroom, hoping to go for a bit of a spawn peek here, hoping to play on a bit of sound and go for a bit of a bait. maybe even here to help Rexen if he's receiving a bit of pressure from that small tower.
Didn't feel confident. Fair enough. Here comes Solotov, here comes the pressure, and he knows that he's not going to get away with the early strike that he might have hoped on that audio. Intel, the site is down in the basement. Why risk getting pinched when there's nobody else to truly support you? The hold is won here. It's back down all the way inside the floor. It's flat itself. The grenade chases ghosts. None to be found.
The big issue is, though, is when MNM was allowed to set themselves up, when MNM had no pressure coming in from the first or second floor. They basically opened every single hatch by about, well, a minute 30 left on the clock, which gives you ages of time in Siege to start working these angles, to start isolating the players and really put up the pressure from multiple different points. If there is going to be roamers, that time is slowly being dilated, of course. That is going to be only going to be up to 30 seconds to maybe a minute. And that could really be a difference maker. But for now, MNM is going to be given free reign. A whole lot of it. But how will they use it? Are they going to be as successful as before? Soniqs have something else up their sleeves.
All right, MNM, a minute 30, and this is around the pace where you were successful, but let's not forget that it was all within a final 15 seconds death drop onto the hatch towards the fight inside. There's, you know, a couple of changes that could be made there from the side of Soniqs where they might be able to swing with a little bit more pressure. The first could be this. Those ex-Kairos probably going to be tucked in the corner to see if they can force the play on Geometrics. There's the drop of the destruction of the shield on the far end. There is still a bulletproof, I believe, tucked on the back wall that Grixer was watching, waiting for this. There's the Banshee in the core of the room. They're sort of saying, well, we're going to clear laundry. We're going to make sure that if we push from the back end, we have that too. Solotov opens up the door on blue as well. There seems to be a little bit more in terms of the hold here, but can they hold off and can they swing into the first fight?
That bulletproof not really high up on the priority list for the RC Rotero right here. It was going to be the things that slow you down. Either way, Solotov ready around the barrels, has an opportunity to either go into elbow or to go towards Shaiko, depending on where the help is going to be needed. Drops are about to come through. 35 seconds left on the clock. The smoke canister is about to evaporate onto the back stairs. There's one left in Geo's pockets. That is maybe what they're waiting for before they can make that final call. Where do we go? The time is ticking down, and this is going to be Solotov that runs it, but instantly gets taken down from Shaiko by Solotov. They need to push through now. Geo gets another kill. MNM is falling apart.
Yeah, Soniqs, they've been able to catch the push here. Grixer has a quick response, and Grixer with his third for the round. Behind the cover of the smoke. Doesn't really matter there. They had the calls, the beat, and the players beat too. They are the first team to make their way onto map point. There is one round that separates MNM from overtime. There's one round that separates Soniqs from 3 points.
That's it, and that will put Soniqs into a really good position. That might have not looked like it at the end or at the start of that first group stage day. And I like the adaptability we saw from Soniqs there, because the first round on their defense, they were picked apart by MNM by some, well, good coordination from MNM's side. However, Soniqs, they read into that. They knew exactly where the pushes were coming from. They knew exactly when certain players were about to swing in. Ready for it, waiting for it, able to bring the gunfight back to them and win them out this time around. I mean, at the end, it is still that FPS game. You need to be winning the gunfights if you want to be winning the rounds. And that is what Soniqs did out there. They went for those fights at the last couple seconds. They did not wait in corners, hope for MNM to run out of time. They went aggressive and it worked out. 6-5. One more opportunity for MNM to bring us to OT. Otherwise, they will be ending the day with 0 points after getting 5 on the very first. That is definitely not something they would have loved to see.
MNM, it's still been that bit of back and forth. There is still a chance of overtime here. Still down to prove Soniqs wrong. They've been able to get the stretch, the swing and the grab on these swings from MNM. MNM need to try and find a little bit more of a connection towards the guns that are otherwise being laid against them here. There's just been a big step up compared to the last time Soniqs met this team early on the first day to the Soniqs we find late in the second. They've definitely fallen in love a little bit more with the guns in Sweden.
Very early takeout of the Banshee there. That is below in 90. Of course, there is a lot of verticality right above it. So as soon as that starts to whoop, it's going to be giving away all the information to the players above. And verticality is going to be, well, happening for certain. So taking that out gives you a bit more freedom to move through, maybe a bit more sneakiness. MNM, they definitely need to at least find an opening somewhere, and his Grixer still active around green. He hops over towards the stage of the meeting hall as he spots out a drone, but heads towards the basement. Again, going to be playing around here. MNM, they might be aware of it, but that, again, is going to be that pop-up player that can just rotate around freely because he's not going to be hunted. It's not the objective! As Gunnar takes down Nello with the kit. That needs to be recovered. That's going to be another 10 to 20 seconds gone off the board for MNM.
Another rough moment there for MNM. The kit goes cold, and they got to see if they can try and get a hot body back for it. Usus rotates its way down towards the double window as Soniqs actually rotate their way down. A little bit of a spray through. They're just going to see if they can try and get lucky there, and he's not going to entirely overexert himself. Just misses a player rotating around, but there is one underneath the side and the drop on the hatch inside Zulu. Waiting. Gio, he's a bit patient here. He's got the angle up towards the split through. He's watching Attic from that exact location.
Don't think they're going for the kit recovery, at least not yet. Drones are being watched, but no one in position. Kenzen will find Solotov. Brings it down to the last 3 players of MNM. This could be the end of it. Uses, do you know someone is in the corner out there? No, he does not. Gio will shut him down. It's only up to Tyrant and Neo now. The kid not even in pocket. They need to go for all 5 of the kills if they want to take a victory here.
Well, all 5 seems impossible at this point. Neo gets 1. He's looking for the second, but it comes from all over. Soniqs, they take the full 3 points. They find themselves top of the group, I believe. And they find a bit of revenge for yesterday.
They had a point.